Hello, everyone, and welcome back in to my premiere episode of where I profile the 2024 presidential candidates throughout this election cycle. So let's begin with a Democrat, and in my opinion, the man that is going to be the Democratic nominee, the incumbent president, President Joe Biden. The president, as I'm recording this, launched his his re-election campaign on Tuesday of this week, April 25th, 2024, 4 years to the day that he announced his 2020 run. So Biden, kind of one for a little bit of history there. I think if you would talk about the pros and cons of this is Joe Biden has had a very successful presidency. He's passed historic, meaningful legislation, a bipartisan infrastructure package, bipartisan gun control. Some things were not bipartisan. You had the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Act, and other big consequential pieces of legislation in a deeply divided Congress. Nancy Pelosi only had a 4 to 5 seat majority throughout the Congress, and it was a tie 50-50 Senate that required the vice president to break a lot of tie votes. But they got things done, and I think a lot more than people were expecting at the onset of the Biden presidency in 2021, when the country was not in a good place. The president got shots in arms. Not enough shots in arms, but he got them in people's arms and got them distributed. And we got boosters. Lots of things that are good wins on the board. 12 million new jobs since he's become president. Inflation, though, is a big issue. It's coming down, and on a worldwide scale, we're about middle of the pack, but still, it's not a good thing. When people go to the grocery store or go to the pump, they notice those high prices. They notice that the prices are higher. And often, even though the president doesn't control as much about the economy as popular opinion would like to believe, that's who they voice their anger at. But the president also has significant headwinds that he's put a lot of wind in his sails. Number one of which was the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. And Republicans showing that, in fact, what Democrats said for years would come in a post-Roe world, and Republicans tried to convince people for years was not the case, is actually the case. The attacks on trans individuals by Republican-led legislatures is really turning off suburban voters, and the Republicans dialing up the culture war to 10, I think scares a lot of your average voters. So the president has those advantages and disadvantages. Like I said, I think his advantages are he has a record to run on. 12 million new jobs, historic pieces of legislation, an infrastructure package, that was bipartisan gun control, the first in 30 years nearly. The president also passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a huge investment in the climate crisis that we're facing, and looking to help America move to alternative energy sources. You also, though, and like I said, 12 million new jobs, but you also have inflation, and also shortages. The supply chain got disrupted by COVID and really is not bouncing back the way it should. The war in Ukraine has caused significant delays in the supply chain, and could possibly have a ripple effect to the food chain in coming years. So we're facing uncertain times, and often when you face uncertain times, you have a rally around the flag, a rally around the president type moment, and I think that could help Joe Biden in a general election. So, here's my belief. There's no question that Joe Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee. Marianne Williamson and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are not serious candidates. They're not. They're not going to be standing on a stage in Chicago in the United Center in August of 2024 accepting the Democratic nomination for president. It is going to be Joe Biden, and he's going to go into the general election to face whoever the Republicans nominate. And I'll get into that in the coming videos. So, like I said in the introductory video, I'll cover these candidates as warranted. So I doubt through the nominating process I'll be doing many videos on the president. This may be the only one I do for a long time. Also, I make no bones about it. I support the president. I've donated to his campaign. I worked on his campaign, volunteered on his campaign in 2020, and donated to it in 2020. I want Joe Biden to be reelected, but I try to give my unbiased opinion in these videos. And at this moment, I think Joe Biden is the clear front runner in the race on both sides. So, I'll see y'all then. Also, presidents always had, Joe Biden had a much better midterm than most recent presidents.